and welcome everybody to
Hey.
Marvel Mondays. We made it here. My apologies because we are definitely about a month late to our first episode of
Eh,
Marvel Mondays,
eh.
but better late than never, right? My name's Chris Barrows of the Tabletop Express, and joined, as I
Hey.
often am, by Ryan Espin, and we are, I know, both excited about this conversation.
Yes,
And I think
absolutely.
that's an understatement.
Yeah, probably.
So I want to tell you I came prepared.
Okay.
I overheard information that people are in need of a Captain America. I brought a shield.
Oh,
My
yeah.
good shield is on the other wall.
No,
Oh,
because
I have this that my son got
that's
for
the
me.
sure way to be the most hated person in the
I
Marvel
know,
Cinematic
I
Universe.
know. I heard, right? The shield. We don't need that. Anyways, but yeah, I'm excited. We are here to talk about Marvel Champions. That's what Marvel Mondays is all about.
Right.
And on Marvel Mondays, we want to do a few things. But this first episode, Ryan, I think we really want to break down something very important.
Sure.
I think it's a pretty important question that we want to ask ourselves, which is, why do we love this game? It's right here. There it is.
I see it.
It's right there, right there. So why do we love Marvel Champions? And as we kick off this topic, which is obviously very important, I want to go back to a conversation I've had with you a few times, which is living card games.
Yeah.
One of the ones that came before this, Legendary. I played it, Marvel Legendary. Did you play Legendary?
Yeah, I did. I still own it. I still own my copies. It is collecting dust, and there's tons of expansions I still haven't even tried yet. Yeah.
And I think that's what's interesting, because when I talk about why I love this game, is it's a game that was able to put Marvel Legendary on a shelf, and I don't think about it in literally feels like until today.
Yeah. I don't know. Weird. I used to, so Legendary, I used to do a lot of solo of, and there's like a variant called Golden Solo that was like the way to really play solo, because the base game of Legendary was not that exciting, and it wasn't until the expansions came out later where it actually really picked up steam, because I think I've brought this up before, but they really brought down the difficulty on Doctor Doom, and it's like, you don't want to bring the difficulty down on Doctor Doom, so they failed right away out of the box. Now I'm kidding. The designer Devin Lowe did a great job, but except for Doctor Doom, he did a terrible job there. But yeah, Legendary was a game I used to play a lot, and Marvel Champions is the game that I wanted Legendary to be.
Right.
Because in Legendary, you're just recruiting cards from different heroes, but Marvel Champions, you construct a deck based on a single hero, as opposed to just having like a collection of, Emma Frost and
the amount of Emma Frost. And I think that's what, when you talk about a game that you're going to play, you want it to feel like the hero, right?
Yeah.
You want it to feel like I joke that I'm going to go grab it right now. But like, even just the fact that I got Captain America here, and the cards that I have in his deck, they feel appropriate to the character of Captain America. I construct a deck in that way. Even the base deck for Captain America that actually came with this game, honestly, pretty solid. You don't need to do anything with it really when you first start playing. But to me, that was part of it. You felt like the character.
Yeah.
You wanted to be in the world of Marvel Legendary. So again, that's a comparison. I think this comparison I don't like comparisons with games. In this particular case, it feels appropriate.
Well, that's an obvious choice because of the theme. I think mechanics wise. So before I played Marvel Champions, I played a lot of Arkham Horror, the card game. And I still like Arkham Horror, the card game. I actually just pre-ordered a bunch of Arkham Horror, the card game stuff, because just like Marvel Champions and all the other FFG games, if you don't get it when it comes out, it's going to take a while for the reprint. So I got some things I got reprinted recently. And Arkham Horror, the living card game, was the other LCG that I was really into, and I still sort of am, but it has a lot of comparisons in terms of the co-op. But it's still a totally different beast, you know.
But when we talk about, again, I think that was one of the things when Marvel Champions came out, because we're talking about Fantasy Flight, people are saying, is it going to be like Arkham Horror?
Right.
It was a thing that was coming up. I thought they kind of said it wasn't, like they didn't set that true expectation, but people thought about it logically because of Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm glad I'm glad it isn't.
Yeah,
I like it for what it is. The campaigns, and we'll certainly talk about these over time. We'll focus on a particular deck tonight as opposed to a campaign that is already out. But I think in the campaign that exists already for it, it's fine. It does a good job. But in the end, no, it's not Arkham Horror. But if you're looking for Arkham Horror, I go say play Arkham Horror. If you want to play Marvel Champions, I think Marvel Champions does Marvel Champions well. And what I love about the game as I go into it is the cards that as the game grows for you, you really find a few that can very well mix in with other decks that you can have some fun with. You're going to happen with a lot of ones, but again, it's now going into the thematic of the character. The idea for me, for example, is Captain America playing aggression. I can come up with that thematic idea of, okay, when Captain America has lost it all and he's no longer wearing the stars and stripes and that sort of thing, I could think about, okay, that maybe in this aggression mode, when he's almost nomad, in a sense, or playing it almost as a John Walker. When you go into a Thor or a Hulk, and you almost, I have to say, try to almost fix the character to be a little bit more winnable.
A little bit,
There's some joy in that, right? But again, it's still thematic. So I go back to theme on this. And the theme of Marvel works. It works so well in this world. And I go back to when I played Star Wars customizable card games.
Again, yeah.
Themes interconnect and they make it great. But the mechanics of these cards, which we can get certainly into, were solid from the start. Yeah. And that's the other piece that I speak to, is the mechanics of how you play the game. And it's a fairly easy game to pick up. I know people wouldn't call this maybe entry level, but my 7-year-old was able to be taught this game fairly effectively as long as he could read the card.
Well, I feel like that's how it's designed too. It's designed where each pack that you pick up, you can just play right then and there. You can just start playing. You don't need to construct a deck. And you don't need to, you obviously can, but you don't need to do that right away. You can just pick up and just start playing. And I definitely think it is aimed towards a younger audience, as opposed to like obviously Arkham Horror, the card game, or even some of the other LCGs, like how Netrunner was, Android Netrunner. They know their audience. They know that a younger audience could pick this up because of the theme. So I think they do play towards that. And yeah, I think it's, you have mentioned your son plays it. He's 7, and luckily he has a board game dad to help him out.
Well, that is a difference. But I still think it stands out that he can pick up on the general idea, the general mechanics of the game, pick it up, and the theme works. And I do think you're right. When you think of any Marvel game, it is kind of targeted towards an audience of Marvel fans, which means it can hit a pretty young audience because you've got dads like you and I.
Yeah, I mean, but it happened with me too as a kid. As a kid, I played HeroClix, and I only played HeroClix because they were superheroes, and I wasn't like in high school,
Right.
So I definitely think the high school kids of now are Marvel Champions could be something that they could be playing after school,
Yeah. Well, it is true, and I know when it comes down to it, that's some reasons we like it. But I'm dying to actually talk about
why we like it.
we talk why we like it quite a bit here, obviously. But what about one of the things we're going to do on this show? And I want to make sure we hit on that fairly early on. This episode, why we like it, serves as a great introduction. Normally, we're going to get right into some real meaty topics of cards that are out, new decks in particular. We're not going to choose why we like it in every episode, obviously.
But I didn't say my favorite part yet.
Why
I like it the most.
Go for it.
Yeah. So why I like it the most. So a lot of people have criticized Marvel Champions in the fact that at the end of the day, you're just doing math. You're figuring out should I do more damage, or can I do more scheming and like more thwarting for the scheming. And kind of just figuring out numbers. And at the end of the day, you're just figuring out numbers. Like, oh, I could play this because there's a resource and stuff. But that feeling I also get from one of my favorite solo games I brought up, which is Mage Knight. Mage Knight is very similar in that regard, where a lot of your turn is just figuring out, okay, these are my cards. What is the best option? And granted, it's a bit more obvious in Marvel Champions than it is in Mage Knight, but that feeling is still there, and figuring out what I can do. And I love that. I love the combos. I love figuring out what I can do in the combos. And also it's a great co-op if you are actually all playing together, because if you're really talking out like, oh, I am short on this resource, or hey, I'm going to spurt out an extra resource in my helicarrier, or I have my helicarrier, I haven't used it yet, or I don't need another card if I want to use my Avengers Mansion. I love that. I love having that conversation with the other player and figuring out what's the best things for both of us. And yeah, it sometimes just works out so well.
And I will say, because I've played this with you over Zoom, obviously.
Yeah.
But I play this with my wife and son, and we do that. We're coordinating. Historically, we 1 out of every 2 games were our usual characters, and then we mix it up on the next one. Sure. So it's often Spider-Man, Black Widow, and and Captain America. That's often what it is, and then in between we mix it up.
Yeah.
But there is a communication going on. I love that, and we are constantly trying to figure out how do we best tackle this scenario.
Yeah,
it's enjoyable. For me, I want to point out my number one reason, and I'm going to bring up a person that maybe we can talk about, and that is the Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
but I'm not talking specifically to the Scarlet Witch. What I love in this game is the idea that there's the hero side, and then you flip it over and she's Wanda.
Yeah.
And I love this aspect of the game. This is what does it for me, because it gives me a feeling of, okay, I've got to make a decision. When am I going to flip this over from a hero to, their secret identity, essentially?
Yeah.
And I just think that is the thing that does it for me. It adds this extra personality to the game, and it makes you really think about it. Okay, if we're all in in the mode where we're going to have to see the scheme go way up, and now we're gonna that's not good. So someone's got to be a hero in that, in that moment, and who's it going to be? And you're thinking about that. So for me, that's the kicker. That is my number one, and that's why this one kind of tops it. Again, I don't play Legacy anymore. I don't own as many of the stuff as you, and so I could sell the base off and not care. But this game, it's not going anywhere. I can't foresee anything replacing this anytime soon. So
I'll still sell I will probably sell my Legendary at some point.
Yeah, well,
with a nice broken token insert for anyone listening that wants to buy it.
I will definitely sell mine. But I imagine just a chance you might want to talk a little bit about Scarlet Witch today.
Yeah, I do, because she is our first impressions topic. Is that correct? Yeah, first impressions.
First impression.
Scarlet Witch.
I'm putting up as if she's up here, but she could be flying around.
Yeah,
she could be flying around up there.
She could be.
But yeah, our first impression of Scarlet Witch. Now, first, let me tell you this.
Yeah,
I haven't got too much into truly customizing her deck as much as you have. So a lot of what I will speak to when I talk about her is just taking this character out of that, out of that box and playing her. I played a little bit around with it, with some things I could do, and I looked ahead. But honestly, the first comment I have about her, and it's similar to what I feel about Doctor Strange, just extremely powerful.
Oh yeah,
without touching a single thing in the deck. When you talk about her, I mean, she really has massive power. Now, she's a character that, at least in the way when she initially comes out, and I imagine even as you tweak her, a lot of ways it's going to still work out. You want to do a lot of attacking. You want to take advantage of that. She's got some protection spells in there that are fantastic. I'm trying to actually find the particular card. Magic Shield in particular is a card of mine that I like quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it's so useful. But For me,
Magic Shield is the one where that's the one you discard the card to negate 3 damage, right?
correct.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
And here's the thing about that card. It's when a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard Magic Shield and prevent 3 of that damage. So that friendly factor on that card. But again, powerful.
Yeah.
And I'll address what was the elephant in the room when this first came out. Yes, there are 2 obligation cards.
Yeah. That was a running joke, right?
Online. Yeah, it's still a running joke, unfortunately. Yeah. I've seen it at a certain point I was just like, okay, yes. Someone though I saw on the internet, I don't know if they just bought multiple packs, but they showed her with 8 obligation cards, and I don't know if that was a misprint or they just bought multiple packs.
They could have. Who knows? I mean, it makes sense because she comes with spiritual meditation, which is a game changer for characters, mystic characters like Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. That one is awesome. So what that card does is, right, you draw 2, and after you draw 2, you just discard a card from your hand. It's a great way to go through your deck. And
you really can power through your deck. Again, maybe as you customize, you certainly can do it more. But you're going to go through your deck very quickly. And again, this right now, I have the deck constructed just as its base deck.
Yeah.
So this is its base deck. I reconstructed. I started playing around with some other things. But with the base deck, you're going to go through it pretty quick. I will say the one thing I've not got a chance to check out yet, I'm hoping to check it out with you, is pairing with Quicksilver with another player.
I did
it myself, but it would be really interesting. Again, to see how someone else is going to operate Quicksilver. So that's the one thing I did not get to do yet. But I'll tell you, in the end, I love Wanda. She's so powerful. Her and Doctor Strange are just so overpowered from the start almost.
Yeah.
They're great for solo. And so it's definitely, I'm going to say this right now, that Scarlet Witch, big for solo play. As far as I'm concerned, I'm definitely going to do that. And I'd be interested in trying to, again, play around her deck now, as I know you have.
Yeah. So hang on. Now I need to get my deck out. So let me tell you my favorite Scarlet Witch card so far, and it's just ridiculous because here's the thing, right? Scarlet Witch, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like her because she reminded me based off of some of the mechanics that I am very wary of in Arkham Horror the card game. So in Arkham Horror the card game, there's characters that can manipulate the Doom level, which is essentially the thwart level. Right. I've always been wary of that because that game can really mess with you. And Scarlet Witch, a lot of her powers has to do with the encounter deck and removing cards from the encounter deck. It is, I mean, if you're playing up against a villain that has very little encounter sets, it's likely you can go through that entire deck at least twice in one game, but it's all worth it for this one card. This is Chaos Magic, and this is the best card in her deck, in my opinion. It's just hilarious. So it's free to play, and all you do is you play a card from your hand, and you discard X number of cards from the encounter deck equal to whatever the resource value is. So, you could bring out like Hercules, right? Is a 6-point resource card. You could bring out Hercules for the cost of getting rid of 6 encounter cards, which is hilarious and ridiculous. Like, why would you want to do that? But why wouldn't you want to do that? It's just it's really fun. Because I feel like a lot of the times, especially in the early game, I'm balancing with what cards do I want to bring out. Do I want to bring out like an Avengers Mansion that costs 4 and kind of end my turn? Just do that and that's it.
Right.
And with this card, it just makes that turn so much better. Bring out Avengers Mansion, bring out Heimdall, bring out, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but bring out Lockjaw from the discard pile. Who cares? It's and or bring out Nick Fury and just get 3 additional cards and then just keep going. You
can slam through the deck really quick.
Yeah.
But to your advantage. That is what's kind of cool about that card.
Yeah. And then let's not forget too about Hexbolt. Look at this. That card's ridiculous. Hexbolt, which you flip over the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and you just do damage based, you either do damage or you draw a card or you give a status. Oh man, I think I was playing against I think it was Crossbones. Well, anyways, I ended up giving Crossbones stunned and confused and an option for a third. So I was just like, all right, I'll give myself toughness or something. But it's just ridiculous. Like you get to do all that because then you're essentially saving yourself a couple turns. You don't have to worry about the flip to alter ego and have the threat go up, and you don't have to worry about getting hit because who cares? You're in toughness mode. It's so good, man.
Now I will say this.
Yeah.
I've seen some people who don't like characters who are overpowered or something like that, but honestly,
well, I don't think she's too overpowered.
That's kind of where I'm going with this.
So she is very powerful, right?
She's powerful, but she's not overpowered.
But but the thing is, she has a trade-off, right? Yeah, she does all this power, but you're also messing with that encounter deck. You're messing with it so much. It's very easy to get to that encounter deck, and you can end up shooting yourself in the foot that way.
Suddenly you're down to this.
Yeah, and then acceleration goes up, and
so that's the thing that I point out about her, that I've seen it, and I'd argue again. I think with Doctor Strange, you don't go for your deck as quick, and he's pretty darn powerful.
Yeah.
So I'd argue in a lot of ways you could debate power all you want, but I think it's a very well balanced design, and that's to me what is really awesome about Scarlet Witch is the fact that you do go for it really quick. So yeah, you can get pack a punch, but if you kind of don't do the damaging blow quick enough, you might put yourself in a bad situation.
Right.
And obviously that you don't want that to happen. So now what's interesting to me with her too is she's the second character now, or she's part of a second set of characters that has that team up capability.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to see that. I believe we're going to be seeing that quite a bit going forward. And I do like that. I think that's fun. I think it's a great addition to the game. That along with piercing, which was a nice addition too. I thought when they introduced that, I think that with Hawkeye they introduced the piercing.
Yeah, and Rise of Red Skull.
And Rise of Red Skull. So I think again, it adds a nice team to have her. Now I want to just speak to this before I forget too. The timing of her was really interesting because I remember Scarlet Witch, the show WandaVision came out.
It ended, right?
Yeah, and so the WandaVision came out, and the pack, like on given days, just strategic. I don't know how it worked out, but I picked them up on like a start date and like basically a finale date.
Yeah,
and that was the Scarlet Witch and the Quicksilver pack.
Yeah, because I think Quicksilver came out the week of the episode, right? It came out like the Quicksilver episode, and then like the ending. Yeah. Oh, I should have said spoilers, I guess, but whatever. At this point, we already made the knockoff U.S. agent Cap joke. All right, so whatever.
It's Monday. Yeah. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it by now.
Things happen.
And you're the one who just said U.S. agent. I said John. But
all right. Well, whatever. It's obviously U.S. agent.
Fans would. My point is, fans would have watched it.
That's U.S. agent is a card. That's him. Yeah,
I know.
Anyway,
well, and I will note, and let me grab her. What I actually love was I was chuckling when it was in here was Agatha Harkness being.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And because you exhaust when you click the top 3 cards of a deck and add any one of those to your hand and place the rest at the bottom of your deck. And I was laughing because she's your ally.
Yeah.
Which is
she was in the comics too. And
she was in the comics.
She's assuming it could happen later.
Yeah.
They left it open-ended.
They left it open-ended. But again, so I just think again, this is a fantastic addition.
Yeah.
This is arguably one of my. If I was to, I think we've talked about probably starting within the next episode. We'll kind of from time to time rank where we're at with our favorite characters. And for me right now, she's definitely one of my favorites. She's definitely one of my favorite decks to play. She's not my favorite.
I will one up you. She is my favorite so far.
She is your favorite. Okay.
Yeah, she is. Man, she's so much fun. And yeah, just so much fun. Like seriously, dude, I just played a deck where I went through the entire deck in one turn. My entire deck I went through in one turn. It's nuts. Like how you could power up to get so many
That
cards.
sounds quite chaotic.
Yeah, it is quite chaotic. But man, it is so it's so good. But I do want to bring it back to something you did bring up, which was pairing up with Quicksilver. So this is something that I did do recently. I played with a friend who got vaccinated, which is awesome, right? So we played, and we finally, and I was saving it for when I could play in person. I did Rise of Red Skull. Finally, I did the entirety of Rise of Red Skull with him. I think we finished. Oh, you know what? We started at like 10 and finished at 4 in the morning because, of course, we did it on the daylight savings day. So
Good.
yeah, we finished around 4 a.m. But wait, we had to finish. So we did we did that, and we ended up doing it's chaos. No, what's that card called? Ordering Chaos.
Ordering Chaos.
Team up card, and it came up a couple times, and it did help us out at times. Because a lot of times we were in our hero form, and we did mess up a rule where, we kind of just like let it slide if we were in alter ego. Yeah, I know, asterisk, whatever. We still would have whooped whoever. And it's funny too because you get into the Zola mission, right? And Zola starts off the mission by taking your hero's main ally, which is Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, regardless. So we're like, yeah, who cares? Who cares about getting those cards back? I don't care about getting those cards back.
That's convenience. I have to ask because as we talk about playing this, have you done the same? Have you between the two team up cards so far?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference now between the Ant-Man and the Wasp teaming up?
I haven't done the Ant-Man and Wasp combo.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's our next test. I think we need to, because that's for me, one thing I want to do is I haven't got a chance to do the Ant-Man and the Wasp because we were going to do it and then someone wanted to play someone else and then it just didn't work out. That Wasp thing played. Yeah. But I want to do that because I'd love to see. I'd love to start comparing these team ups too. Like, what are the best team ups? And I'm really intrigued by, and we're going to be getting into obviously more team ups in the future. And I'm just so excited to see. I also would love to see retroactively team up cards come into the game. I just want to say this.
Yeah.
Because it's so cool if Winter Soldier or something like this down the road, or someone was there to team up with Cap, or you had Falcon team up with Cap, or I mean,
eventually when X-Men come out, there's obviously going to be a fastball special card, right? For Colossus and Wolverine, there has to be a fastball.
The backtrack on it, there's just potential, because they introduced that mechanic later. So the idea that you can slot this card into your deck from the core deck or something like that.
Well, Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman could be a good team up candidate, right? Because they're each other allies.
Well, doesn't Spider-Woman have Captain Marvel in her deck already?
And Captain Marvel vice versa has Spider-Woman. Just like how Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are.
Right. So again, I think that's the other thing. And we're taking that as we talk about obviously the Scarlet Witch deck, but it does come to mind because we're talking about the team up factor. And to me, that's pretty cool. I do want to say that for me, I am looking to explore some fun new ways to play with her. And one of the features of this show is one that I'm going to look forward to.
I was waiting for this.
I know you're looking forward to this.
Yeah.
You found a really great deck. Talk about our next feature and this, because this is another piece of the show that we're going to do each and every month.
Yeah. So we're highlighting this month. The deck of the month is a recently new one. It came out 15 days ago on Marvel CDB. This is a Scarlet Witch Turbo Draw and Build Heroic Clearing deck. Now, Scarlet Witch is such a good character for doing this. And even though she is a justice aspect, there's not a lot of justice cards in her deck. Most of them are basic. But what this deck does is this plays with the concept of trying to draw as much as you can. And this is the deck I was able to do that. I was able to draw through my entire deck. And This deck I went up against Kang solo, and I ended up beating him for the first time. I beat Kang, and his deck is very thick. It's very thick, and it asks you specifically not to include any heroes obligations. So I had to look up. Does that mean both obligations or no? Okay, it meant both. So I didn't include our obligations. But that thick deck, I went through twice with beating him, and he has some powerful cards there, which worked in my favor. So I ended up doing like, I don't know, like 13 damage. No, was it? It might. No, 11 damage. I ended up doing 11 damage in one turn because she has this one card. What is it called? It is on this page. Molecular Decay, which has the Sentinel on it, and that allows you to do 5 damage. And then you flip over the top 2 cards in your counter deck, and you do that number additional of boost for damage for the boost icon. So I ended up doing 11 damage to him, and he has a health of 20. When he's in his final form. So yeah.
Now, did you do? I gotta ask, when you did Kang with the deck that we are displaying.
Yeah.
Was this? Was this starting at his first level, or did you start him at the harder? Or did you go more of an?
I didn't do expert Kang.
Okay.
Regular.
Basic regular Kang.
Basic regular Kang with a random encounter deck. So I did a mess of things with the random encounter deck with Scorpion, which Scorpion didn't come out until the very end, which is good. And he did quick strike, and he ended up just having Ironheart take that damage because who cares, But yeah, this was a really, really fun deck, and I'm really excited to keep playing this one.
And just to give an idea, I think it's worth noting. You can kind of get an idea from here of the breakdown of the deck, because there's 4 physical, 5 mental, 4 energy, and then 2 wilds in there.
That's from the heroes cards, right? And then above, right, it goes up to what, 19 or 20 for for the tech one. So. And then, her most expensive card is Heimdall, which I've used Chaos Magic to bring out Heimdall, and it was so worth it because also too, when you do that, you bring out 5 cards from the encounter deck, and then Heimdall comes out. You look at the top 3 cards, and then you just discard one. So I discarded which one? The villain schemes one, because that has 0 chaos. That has 0 tokens on it, and then I just used. I made sure to top the deck with the expensive cards for Molecular Decay, and it was so much fun. So
let's pose the question out there.
Yeah,
if you're gonna go play a game, with Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch
together,
I
wouldn't do it.
You would not do it, because the one thing that I was thinking about this is, who's the Sorcerer Supreme? I want whoever. Mm-hmm. I want, if one of those characters out, I want them to have the Sorcerer Supreme card.
There can only be one Sorcerer Supreme.
That's the one reason why I played this deck once, where she wasn't. But from this point forward, if she comes out, Doctor Strange ain't nowhere to be found, I think.
Right.
Because I want that Sorcerer Supreme card, and there should be only be one.
Well, there can be. It's a unique card. That's it.
It is a unique card. But the point being is, I just, and that'd be so powerful. Oh my goodness, I'm just thinking about that. Like, you have to have, they got to bring in someone really tough for that to be needed. There's options. There's plenty of those options.
I mean, my option, but keep going.
Yes. But look, one of the other things that we also, so if you're watching this for the first time, which it would be because this is our first time doing the show, one thing you definitely see, we're always going to have a deck. We're always going to be talking about one. Ryan brought this one to me, and it just sounded so impressive. We had to talk about it. But the other thing we're always going to do is do a little bit of looking ahead. Mm-hmm. Before we look ahead at one thing, I did want to talk about, and this is before we get into the next big expansion. I did want to ask you, actually, what outside of the expansion are you most looking forward to from the characters not included in the Guardians of the Galaxy's expansion? Is there a particular person who maybe comes to mind first, I know who I'm excited about. I
You're
can tell
talking
you
of the ones that are announced, right?
the ones that are announced to this point. So we're not spoiling anything. They're out there on Fantasy Flight. Like you're going to be able to find these people.
So right now, the one I'm excited about the most is actually Star-Lord, just because of how I've seen Scarlet Witch plays, where she plays with the encounter deck. Star-Lord also plays with the encounter deck, so I'm excited for that aspect as well. Did I take your answer?
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I'm excited about Drax. I love these aggression tokens.
Yeah. Okay.
No, so you didn't take my answer.
Okay, I was wondering. Yeah.
No, I love this aggression tokens that as he gets hit, he gets angry.
Yeah.
He wants revenge. And I just think it's really neat. It's so perfect for Drax. Star-Lord does excite me, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I just think, again, the way very interesting some of these unique because I go back to Hulk and I think Hulk smash, he's angry, he's aggressive, great. There could have been so much. I think there could have been more to Hulk than there was.
Yeah.
It's not an insult. I think, you can make Hulk quite usable, but this is just a great way to take Drax's aggression and anger and his thirst for revenge. Literally, a taste of revenge is what the title of the blog post announcing it was. But but one of the things we do want to talk about today is what is up next.
Yeah,
that's Galaxy Most Wanted. This is an exciting piece that's coming up very soon. I mean, we're talking April 1st. First, I think
you must be joking. You must be joking.
It's coming up though.
Yeah.
And this one I'm excited about for a lot of reasons. But when we talk about this box, I mean, first and foremost, I just want to cite that looking at the box, seeing Groot and Nebula and all and some of these great characters, and Nebula in particular actually stood out to me when I remember reading about this, just because of her kind of the way she can play multiple roles.
Yeah.
And that she can be good and bad. And that was a mechanism that I talked about. I think I mentioned to you where I said, it'd be great if Finn choose Bucky, where he could be the Winter Soldier, or he could be Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Who helped his buddy Cap. And here they introduced a kind of a way that might work in the future. But for me, very excited about this box. Are you surprised that they led with Rocket and Groot for this one, as opposed to say Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, or anything like that? Or do you think this was pretty good pick?
No, I think it's a good pick because because with the Rise of Red Skull, they just they knew the draw was like the big campaign, so they just drew in Hawkeye and Spider-Woman. But with this, like, if you're gonna have two members, like, why not make it the ones that are a pair? Why not just make it that? And yeah, they seem like the most obvious picks for that. I mean, I don't know if I would do like if they did it with Star-Lord and Gamora, that I don't think that would be as good as Rocket and Groot together.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, this is what's out. I mean, if you want to know what other cards are coming, you can find it.
Hall of Heroes.
We're just showing what they've put out, but I love the idea. You do have Rocket starting at 2 thwart, 1 attack, and one defense, and obviously he can get some pretty high powered weapons there. So I'm going to be excited about kind of that attack that he gets a hold of. Yeah, I honestly got to tell you, I was also really excited to see the Collector, just because he's such a cool character, and they're really going to expand the world with that. And then I will tell you this: I am very glad that they did Groot the way they did, with the 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 3 defense, really making him just a tough character, which is appropriate. What are you hoping? I guess as I looked at this, like, when I looked at this and I thought about it, one of the things I'm hoping for is continue to advance on the campaign style that we saw. Mm-hmm. Not looking again for Arkham Horror. I just stress that. But I'm also very much looking forward to the way the ships are going to come into play in this one, because you've got the Milano, the Badoon ship. I mean, in really an environment coming into play, and I'm excited about how they continue to evolve with that. Those are the two things I'm looking most forward to with this particular expansion.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I like campaign. I really do like campaign. It doesn't need to be Arkham Horror, but I do like if there's improvements from campaign from like Rise of Red Skull, sure. Like if there's more improvement in the story, that's great. That's just things to add on. I'm not because in Arkham you upgrade your character as you go along, and there was a little bit of that in Rise of Red Skull, but there's like no choice as opposed to Arkham where you have like tons of choice, and I don't want that. That I don't want yet. Maybe later, we'll see. But going back to it, with Rocket, he kind of seems like he's going to be like the anti Crossbones, like the heroes version of Crossbones. I really am looking forward to how he plays with kinds of his tech upgrades and all that stuff. I am looking forward to trying Rocket out because he just looks weird.
I'm excited about the tech upgrade side just as much as you are. I mean, this is what they obviously we're going off of course, fantasyflightgames.com's website. This was from their announcement some time ago. But I mean, really, the one thing about this one that they talk about is you can really wipe out all the minions in your way. So you get a bunch of minions attacking you. I mean, this is fantastic to knock them out, which could be extremely helpful, obviously. But I'm interested in what the other ones are. I'm the first to tell you, I don't actually look up everyone in advance, so I like a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I try not to as well.
I don't mind if they put it on the blog.
Yeah,
I'm okay. Like, I'll look at this. I'll talk about this. That's also the reason why I'm not going to go and say, oh, I'm really excited about this card. Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry, that wasn't officially announced. I'm not going to do that. And I never will do that to anyone because I do think there's a joy in it. If Fantasy Flight announced it, no big deal. But for me, I again, this deck, and I think I already mentioned it, but the fact is, again, the Milano, you've got Nebula in here.
Yeah.
You've just got some great characters who, and it fits with this theme of MCU because they're going to hit Guardians of Galaxy, who are a popular group. And for those who want X-Men, no, you got to wait a little bit. Sorry. They'll come eventually.
They will come.
Sure. They will. You just gotta wait.
I mean, we got Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. That's Brotherhood, right?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah, but for me, no, excited. I'm excited to get about all of this. And I will note, just so everyone is aware, that we are going to be consistent with our episodes. So we'll put it out on the channel. I can tell you, everybody, exactly when our next one is. If you're looking to save that date, that's going to be on April 19th at 8:30 p.m. Okay. So I do hope you'll mark that on your calendar. You can, of course, go over to the Tabletop Express page, and on the page, go ahead and just set to save the date for that one, and you'll get notified with any other ones that we're going to be doing. But for me, Ryan, I'm just glad that we got this off the ground. We got a Marvel Monday in, and with the next one, we'll definitely be talking Galaxy's Most Wanted. I have it pre-ordered, so I will have it ready to rock long before our next.
Yeah, I'll be ready. I actually didn't pre-order it, but I did buy an insert for it. So I got to put it together. That's actually the one thing I'm most excited about, the storage space. Let me tell you, this deck is getting very tight with everything all sleeved. I need to.
I have a special box. I got fairly inexpensive for like $10 that everything is in right now. It's a pretty big box. It's sitting. None of you could see it, but it's right down there.
I believe you.
You think you've seen it before, actually.
Whoa. Oh.
But on that note, look, I would just say, if there's something you would like to see on Marvel Mondays, if there's a segment you'd like us to add, we hope that you've enjoyed this. Certainly, we will be looking forward to talking about more and more decks. If any case, for some reason, an expansion is delayed, there's a lot of decks that we can go back through. I'm certainly sure that we're going to talk about some of the things, like some of our favorite combos, some other unique topics along the way. So we'll add in a good mix of content, but certainly if there is a new deck out, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be excited to talk about it. And we want to hear from you. So if there is something that you think would be great to talk about on the show, let us know. And I promise you this, I will not spoil any MCU shows on here.
Right.
If it's, if it's a few
if it's
days,
current.
if it's current, WandaVision, I'm sorry. You should have watched it by now.
Yeah. Iron Man died, by the way. Sorry, everyone.
Gonna tell everyone Snape killed Dumbledore now or something?
I still haven't watched many Harry Potter movies, but I do know that.
That is a different series. This is not Harry Potter Mondays, so there's no witty way to say Harry Potter.
Potter Tuesdays. I don't know.
No, we're not going to end on that note either. I will end on this note. Thank you to you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, everybody. By the way, I did want to just put a shout out. If you are tuning in, the next video on the channel, I'm excited to say I've got a Creators Corner dropping tomorrow. And that is one that kind of came out of nowhere, but a really great creator's got a small creator by the name of Niall Crabtree. He's got a small YouTube. He's got a small Kickstarter going right now, so he's going to be joining. And then later this week, and I could not be more thrilled about this one as well, is Helena Capel is going to be joining. You may know her from such games that have come out from their publisher, such as Fossils, more recently on Kickstarter. So some good stuff coming this way. So stay tuned for Creators Corner. And as always, thanks to Ryan. Ryan, anything you want to say, anything you're up to, will be rejoining me here on the channel for that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm rejoining you for the Unsung Heroes video.
Yes.
Where we'll be talking about our 5 favorite games that no one seems to care about. Until we talk about them, and then everyone's going to care about them, right?
And that one's going to be fun. That's 1,000, a Board Game Geek ranking of at least 1,000 or less. It won't be anything.
Well, 1,000 or more.
1,000 or more. I'm sorry. So if it's 1,000 or less, it will not be mentioned.
Correct. Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun. So thank you in advance for that one. Take a look. That one's like 36 days away. So we've got some time before that one.
Yeah. And I believe I'm going to be doing a top video, either top 5, top 10, top 1. I don't know. Top 3.
We were going to, so you gave me a good way to segue. We've got a lot of contributors to this channel, and we're going to be having a 10, or I didn't clarify if it was top 5 or top 10, but favorite games right now, if they were to make their all-time list right now, and that's going to vary from year to year, but we'll be dropping that probably within the next month and a half from multiple people. So but as the great Stan Lee once said, Excelsior, we miss Stan Lee, but we really do appreciate you tuning in for Marvel Mondays, and we look forward to seeing you on the 19th of April for our second episode as we go into the Galaxy's Most Wanted with that expansion. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you all very soon.
Bye guys.